So, let's small talk.
Over the Garden Wall is a story all about deception, misleading appearances, false narratives, and rock facts.
Wanna learn some rock facts?
As Jason Funderburker, also referred to as Kitty, Wirt, Wirt Jr., George Washington, Mr. President, Benjamin Franklin, Dr. Cucumber, George Jr., Skipper, and Ronald, sings in the wonderfully haunting intro, "If dreams can't come true, then why not?" This line encapsulates the thematic core of the show, that being the danger of self-deception, the so-called loveliest lies of them all. The reason we tell ourselves obvious mistruths is because we, for whatever reason, are unable or unwilling to face reality. And that's what makes them so dangerous. They're enticing precisely because they help us ignore difficult truths, which is why breaking the cycle of self-deception is particularly challenging. Wirt's character arc deals most directly with the idea of self-deception, and his final confrontation with the Beast serves as the thematic resolution to the story. Wirt's primary characteristic is his constant sense of anxiety and insecurity, emotions which drive most of his actions.
Why don't you guys go ask for directions and I'll just wait out? No, wait, I don't want to be out here by myself. How about you guys?
Just go to the tavern!
Okay.
Many of the conflicts that he and his stepbrother Greg get into are largely the result of his overly anxious mind making something appear more dangerous than it actually is. The reason the brothers even end up over the titular garden wall is because he wrongly assumes a police officer is trying to arrest them, even though he was just trying to make sure they were safe.
That's dangerous! Get down here before you hurt yourself!
Even before that, Wirt's anxiety makes him completely oblivious to the fact that his crush, Sarah, clearly likes him, if not romantically, at least platonically.
Oh, Wirt, you're here. I was just asking if you were here.
This is in contrast to the supposed Chad, Jason Funderburker, who, in one of the show's best jokes, turns out to be this terribly uncool guy who, nonetheless, Wirt feels challenged by.
Jason Funderburker. Ugh, that guy's got his act together. He's the total package.
Hey, Sarah.
Most of the series' conflicts really originate from Wirt's own self-sabotage that causes almost sitcom-like misunderstandings. Looking at the show retroactively with the context of the full journey, you realize that there's actually very few moments where the brothers are in genuine danger. The woodsman they first encounter turns out to be a well-meaning, if slightly eccentric, denizen of the woods. The wolf that attacks them is really just a dog that's following Greg's treats. The inhabitants of Pottsfield are strange, but hospitable and respectful. Auntie Whispers, despite appearing to be an abusive matriarch, is actually just an innocent woman trying to protect her surrogate daughter. Any conflicts that the characters do face are of their own making. The woodsman was tricked into keeping the lantern lit to save his daughter, even though she was never in danger. Beatrice was only turned into a bird because she threw a rock at a bluebird. Like a monster. And Jimmy Brown got stuck in his own gorilla costume, the teacher's father caused his own death, Quincy Endicott thinks he's being haunted because he's insane.
What if I'm on the brink of madness? Maybe the doctors were right. Come along, boys!
And Auntie Whispers could have used her bell to get rid of Lorna's ghost years ago. The only character that poses any legitimate threat and has actively malicious intentions is Adelaide of the Pasture, but she is literally defeated by fresh air, so you could hardly call her a threat. Besides, she's simply a henchman for the only true villain of the series, the Beast.
Well then, perhaps we better make a deal.
However, even the danger that the Beast poses is not physical. At no point in the series is it shown directly attacking anyone. The closest it gets to that is intimidating Wirt in the series finale. But it seems like the Beast doesn't really have a corporeal form. Its true power lies in its charisma and ability to manipulate others with that low, charming voice it has.
Anything is possible if you set your mind to it, right?
It weaponizes people's own fears, weaknesses, and insecurities against them, which makes it the perfect antagonist for Wirt. In comparison, it seems that a person like Greg would be immune to the Beast's charms because, unlike Wirt, Greg is devoid of insecurity.
Never give up. Come on, Wirt. Let's go save the day.
While Wirt sees the world through a lens of fear and doubt, Greg sees the world more or less as it actually is. Much of the humor of Greg's character comes from the fact that he takes everything extremely literally.
Kind of funny finding a basket of turtles in an abandoned house, huh?
Yeah.
Greg, not that kind of funny.
Huh? Oh.
Greg, like Wirt, does tell lies, but he doesn't lie to protect himself from a truth he can't handle. He lies because it's funny.
Do you know what a joke is? It's like lying, but you know they're lying. So it's funny.
We're burglars. We came here to burgle your turts.
No, it's not true.
It's true. Oh, okay.
Greg is entirely fearless throughout their journey into the unknown, perhaps because he's a naive kid,
This is amazing, huh?
but also probably because he's shrewd enough to realize that the unknown isn't actually all that dangerous.
I'm frightened.
Of a ghost? Ghosts are just floaty things.
However, it is precisely because of his naivete that he is taken advantage of by the beast. Due to his tendency to take things literally, he falls for the beast's obvious lie. The show indicates that neither Wirt nor Greg's approaches are preferable. Wirt is too anxious to see reality, but Greg is too naive to see genuine danger. There needs to be a middle ground, and after going through the unknown, Wirt eventually reaches that compromise in the series finale.
Wait, that's dumb. It's almost like your soul is in this lantern.
He has enough self-respect not to give in to the beast's demands, but still retains a level of anxious skepticism that allows him to identify its true weakness, making him the first person perhaps ever to overcome the beast. It is a healthy mix of confidence and anxiety that ultimately wins the day. The great lesson Wirt learns by the end of the series is to stop catastrophizing and to just have faith in himself. Perhaps more importantly, though, he also learns to take responsibility and to admit when he has done something wrong and face that reality head first.
It's my fault we ended up here. Everything's been my fault.
It seems to be such a simple and obvious journey, but sometimes the things that are best for us are the hardest to do. In an interview with Stephen Kazanwensky, creator Patrick McHale said in regards to the theme of the show that, quote, maybe it's about reality versus fantasy, and about dreams versus wakefulness. Maybe all your memories are lies. Maybe everything you perceive is a lie. But you have to believe in something, right? The show is ultimately pro-belief, but anti-delusion. If a fantasy can provide you with something true and meaningful, then it's good. Wirt and Greg's adventure itself is something of a dream between life and death. It's fictitious even within the fiction of the story, but that doesn't make the lessons they learned during it any less valuable. In the same way that any fantasy story is a lie, that doesn't mean you can't extract something positive from them. The unknown is defined by this wonderful sense of community, and it is only in trying to isolate yourself from others that it becomes a dangerous place. Perhaps that's the best way we can use fiction and deception, not as a means of escapism or obfuscating the truth, but as a means of preparing for the real world and ultimately confronting the truth. Good art isn't true necessarily, but it should express some factual aspect of reality, much like a rock fact.
That's because it's not true. It's a rock fact.
As long as art can do that, as long as a lie ultimately helps us endure reality rather than run away from it, then it is, indeed, quite lovely. Thanks for watching.
The loveliest lies of all.